topic that I'm going to speak today. And I thank Renu for calling me over. I'm not aware of this venue to the degree that I'm more familiar with my own IDSA setting. And I operate more in the strategic community. So, but I'll try to reach out to you all, explain to you what the Arctic phenomena is, what it means to us in India, because it seems quite distant and remote, but it is very near in many sense, and that I'll explain as to what India's role in the future. This, of course, is a map you see, and the Arctic has drawn a lot of attention recently for reasons that we are quite familiar with, in particular the rising temperature, the impact of climate change, and more significantly the human contribution to this anthropogenic factor to the carbon emissions. And Arctic is one place where it actually mirrors all our misdeeds, in a sense. Our rush for the resource, this unmitigated growth, industrialization, pollution, it's all a reflection you get in the Arctic when you go and see there. So anything above the 66.5 degree north is what is described as an Arctic region. And there are vast stretches of ocean around it. And one area which you see right on the top is the northernmost island in the world, called Svalbard. And it's actually an island of knowledge in a sense, because you have the world community, scientific community gathered on this island, researching and studying and analyzing the various facets and the various issues of climate change. They're doing all sorts of studies. And we are also there. The Indian scientists are also there in Svalbard. And I'll show you a few pictures of that. Actually studying and monitoring the changes that are happening. And these changes are quite significant. These changes, as you can see, is contributing to a great deal of the reduction in the ice mass in the Arctic region. And figures from 1979, and these are satellite images, 2007 and 2008, clearly shows that the ice is shrinking quite significantly. And that's where the antithesis comes in. On the one hand, this is absolute bad news in terms of climate change. In terms of climate change, the Arctic is showing to us quite clearly that the things are moving at a very dangerous level, that the carbon emissions are having a significant impact on the geophysical aspects of the world. And the impact of the emissions of the Arctic is very intense. Much of the changes that are happening is probably faster and wider than any part of the world. So you've got to keep your mind and lens focused on the Arctic when you relate that to climate change issues. The antithesis, of course, is that it's opening up to a great deal of opportunities in terms of commercial activities, in terms of resources. There is immense amount of resource that one can excavate from the region, and oil and gas in particular. And therefore we continuously hear that there's going to be a new race for resource in the region. And probably that the Cold War is not over, there might be a new war emerging over the resources in this part of the world. And the resource findings are quite clearly enormous. The estimates, of course, these estimates have a significant impact on the oil and gas industries, and the commercialization, therefore, has picked up in a big way. Now, of course, Fridtjof Nansen and Ronald Amundsen were the two real polar explorers who traversed the poles in apart ways. The southern, of course, pole was traversed by Amundsen in 1911. We just celebrated 100 years of the trek to the South Pole, which Amundsen had done. Fridtjof Nansen was a great explorer of the Arctic. He was not only an explorer, He later on was a diplomat of great credibility and won the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, in issues of refusal. So these two were the great minds, the great explorers who turned around the poles through their, the spirit, the unending spirit, and the desire to see what things were happening in that region. And today, 100 years hence, we see a lot of things happening